Alright guys, we're going to go over some things and we're going to practice creating a graph, creating the appropriate equation, as well as creating a table to go with our verbal description. Throughout this process, we want to create the table, the equation, and the graph, okay? But we also want to determine with this information if our statement is proportional or non-proportional. So let's go ahead and let's look closer at the words. It says, Mr. Lee's new truck travels 550 miles on 22 gallons of gas. Whoop, whoop. That is a rate that we're comparing both of these quantities. A quantity is a special fancy word for number. So since we're comparing these, we just created a rate. It says choose an equation that could be used to determine M, the total miles of Mr. Lee's truck can travel on G, the gallons of gas. Guys, let's go ahead and start this problem by solving the unit rate. I'm going to take you a little bit closer. And what we want to determine is the unit rate. We know that we have 550 miles for 22 gallons. So let's go ahead and let's solve this. I know that I have 550 miles for a total of 22 gallons. So to find my unit rate, I want to divide to find my unit rate. I'm going to divide the total amount of miles by the amount of gallons that I've used. And I'm going to divide using my division man, so he's here to help you if you get stuck. Let's first take it a number at a time. I'm going to divide with my eye. Will 22 go into 5? No. So I put a placeholder. You may use X, I use 0. Okay. Will 22 go into 55? Yes, 2 times, because now I multiply with the nose. 2 times 22 is 44, and the math tells you that you need to subtract. So I subtract these values. The goatee on the division man says to bring it on down. So I bring down that 0. I do not know my multiples of 22, so what I could do is guess and check. 20 times 5 is 100, so I'm going to go ahead and go out to the side and try 22 times 5. Just guessing a number. 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 lonely guy makes 11. So my product is 110. And luckily, that's what I needed. So 22 goes into 110 5 times. I multiply. I subtract with the mouth. And since it's 0, I know I can stop. So that tells me that I can travel 25 miles for 1 gallon. With that being said, okay, for 2 gallons, I should be able to travel 50 miles. For 3 gallons, I should be able to travel, what's 50 and 25 more? I should be able to travel 75 miles. With this information, let's go back and look. What is our constant rate? 1 times what is 25? 25. 2 times 25 is 50. 3 times 25 is 75. So our constant rate should be 25, okay? So let's go ahead and look at our tables, our graphs, and our equations. If we look right here, we're looking at our equation, okay? Which one of these shows a constant rate of being 25? Very good, right here, okay? And we know that since that's 0, it's just like having 25 times our gallons to give us our miles. Okay, so the M, what does the M represent? in our expression, our equation, miles. What does G represent in our equation? Gallons. Is it proportional or not? Think about it. Yes, it's proportional because it has a constant rate of change. And we only see multiplication. Because like we just said, even though we see that plus 0, it does not change the value. We still are only multiplying. So it is proportional. Okay? Now, with that being said, let's use that equation 25G, and let's go ahead and create our table. So our equation is miles equals 25 gallons. So let's look. How many gallons do we have here? 5. Very good. So if we have 5 gallons, we're going to substitute 5 for G. Substitute means we take out the G and we put in a 5. So I'm going to write the process in my table. 25 times 5. Okay, we could work this out to the side, 25 times 5, or we could think about 5 quarters. What is the value of 5 quarters? Yes, 125 miles is how much we would travel if we have 5 gallons of gas. Let's try 10. The process, we're going to take 25 and we're going to multiply it by 10. Anything times 10, slap a 0 on the end. And if you need to, no shame, go out and work it to the side. So for 15, I don't have any crazy tricks, so I'm going to go ahead and write my process, the steps to solve this problem, and then I'm going to actually put it in my table. So out to the side, I'm going to do 25 times 15. 5 times 5 is 25. Don't forget to put your lonely guy up there. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 more makes 12. When I'm done, I mark out the 5 because I'm done with it, and I mark out my lonely guys because I'm done, and I create a placeholder. You may use a 0 or an X. 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2, and we are going to combine those. So if I use 15 gallons of gas, I will travel 375 miles. Now we're going to keep on going. We're going to do the same for 20 gallons of gas. So I take my 25 and I'm going to multiply it by 20. I'm going to come out to the side and work that out. 25 times 20. 5 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. I mark out my 0, I'm done, and I create a placeholder. I use an X, but you may use a 0. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 lonely guy. So on 20 gallons of gas, I can travel 500 miles. Go ahead and complete that table, that last one. And look up whenever you have the product of 25 times 25. Don't look up until you have the product. Okay, check your answer. Look up even if you're not done and see if yours matches mine. If not, see if you were on the right track. Check your first value. Check your second value. Good job. Now we have to determine, is this table proportional? Yeah, it is proportional. How do we check our tables? It had the same constant rate of change. It had the same constant rate. So yes, it is proportional. Okay, now let's go ahead, and we know that we need to create a pictorial. This is our graph. It's our picture. Okay, so we want to label the x-axis and the y-axis, and we have to determine which one would be best on each line. I'm going to go ahead and say that the x is our gallons of gas, because that's what's listed here. And let's put our y for our miles. So our y will be our number of miles. If you look at our miles, 125, 250, 375, 500, 625, we could break our scale into quarters, or we could break our scale into 100, 150. Let's go ahead and break our scale into 100. So let's do 50, 100. We're labeling our scale. 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, and just continue that process. I know it's small, just do the best you can. So look, guys, we have 5 gallons with how many miles? 125. Good job. So I know that I can go 5 gallons, and I'm going to go in between the 100 and the 150. Now I'm going to look at 10. 10 gallons is 250 miles. So on 10, I'm going to go up to 250, and that should be right at an intersection. Now I'm going to go 15. I'm going to go to 375. 375 should be halfway between 350 and 400. I'm going to go to my next one, which is 20. 20 gallons of gas gives me 500. So I'm going to go 20. And then I'm going to go up to 500, which is an exact intersection. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I think I've created enough points. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a straight line using the edge of a plain piece of paper. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a straight line using a piece of paper. And I'm going to go ahead and trace over that. Make sure you're in the middle of your points that you've plotted. And go ahead and draw through a straight line. You will not be given a ruler on the STAR test, so just be as straight as you can, okay, with your straight paper. All right, now I'm going to look at it. Does my line go through the origin? 0, 0. Yeah, it does. Good. So therefore, this table is proportional. Good, because we have to make sure we're looking at a graph, we're looking at 0, 0 to determine if it's proportional. On an equation, we're checking to make sure that we are multiplying by the variable. On our table, we want to make sure we're multiplying by the constant rate. So let's go back up right here, and it says, use your equation to determine how many miles Mr. Lee's truck can travel on 32 gallons of gas. So I can go ahead and I can use my work that I've already done. So let's look. I can use my equation. M equals 25G for the miles and the gallons. So I have M equals 25G. And on question A, it says that we're going to travel on 32 gallons. So if it's 32 gallons, do I want to substitute 32 for M or for G? Yeah, I want to put 32 where G is because that is for my gallons. And in my equation, two things side by side means to multiply. So I'm going to come out to the side and I'm going to multiply 25 times 32. And I have determined that on 32 gallons of gas, because that was what I was already given, that on 32 gallons of gas, that he can travel 800 miles. So that's your answer to A. He can travel 800 miles. Okay, and we're just going to go throughout the rest of this and solve them, just like we did before, because we've already determined that the graph is proportional. We have selected the appropriate equation, and the equation is proportional because it has a constant rate of change. Also, our table is multiplying by the same constant rate, so it's proportional. And our statement, we're going to say that yes, it is proportional. And we've checked it, and here is our equation that we are going to use. And we know why it's worked because we verified that 4 different ways.